I can't believe we're at the end of the year, and it's about that time where people start to reflect on the year and think about the next year and maybe create some resolutions. In this video, I wanted to overview how I'm going to prepare for the year ahead, as well as how I'm not going to do resolutions because the traditional form of resolutions just does not work for me. If you've been in the camp where you've set resolutions and then maybe a week, 2 weeks, a month, if you're lucky, you do it for that amount of time and then you kind of fall off and get discouraged and you don't do it anymore. If that's you, then I would love to share my process with you and then we can go through it together and set ourselves up for success in this new year. This upcoming new year is a great time to reflect on how this year went and prepare for the year ahead. You can do this whenever. This could be your birthday. This could be June 27th, November 30th. It doesn't have to happen January 1st, but society tends to think about it. So it is a nice reminder to check in with yourself. I highly encourage you to do it more than once a year. So my process now has 3 steps. And instead of setting a resolution like, I want to work out 3 times a week, or I want to scale my business to multiple 6 figures, or whatever that looks like, I now do this 3-step process. The first step is to reflect. Want to take stock of how this year went so that you can make note of what went well, what didn't go well, what you learned, what you may want to improve. And I think that's really important to just sit with yourself and reflect on how this year went. And to help you do that, I have my Come Home to Yourself retreat package. And in my Come Home to Yourself retreat package, there are 6 different categories. The first category I want you to think about are your career and your finances. How is your career going? If you have a business, how is that going? How much did you make? How much did you spend? How much profit do you have? What are your goals next year? I would also look in your finances as well. How much do you have in savings? How are your investments going? Do you have an income goal? Do you have a savings goal you're working towards, such as buying a property or going on a vacation or saving up for a wedding? What does that look like? Let's reflect on how this year went. If it didn't go well, that's completely fine, but just outlining what didn't go well about it, why you think that is, and thinking about what you want this next year to look like can be really helpful in this exercise. The next category you want to think about is your personal development. How did your personal development go this year? What did you learn? What skills did you gain? What books did you read? What courses did you take? What mentors did you learn from? Were you really interested in getting into yoga? Or were you really interested in getting into running? Or were you really interested in learning more about how to do social media? What did that look like? And then you can also highlight things that you really want to learn about and dive deeper on in this next year. Next, I want you to think about your family and friends. So your relationships, and this is key, like what went well, what didn't go well. How often did you see them? And when you saw them, did you guys go deep? Did you connect? You could see people every single week, but if you're not really talking and just skimming the surface, is that quality time for you? And is that enough for you? And so looking at that and also thinking about which relationships you may want to foster, go deeper on, which relationships you may want to cut out of your life if it's no longer serving you. So think through that. The next category is relationships and romance. If you have a partner, think about how the relationship is going. Are they supporting you? Are you getting what you need? Are you able to give back and give them what they need? How is the relationship going in general? Where do you see it going? And if you don't have a partner, that's completely fine as well. But if you do want one, what kind of person are you looking for? How are they going to add to your life? Really think about how they can add versus just supplement and make you better. You need to definitely be like a whole person yourself before you bring someone in. That is my firm belief. So think about that and what that looks like. And then health and fitness. What did you do to improve your health and fitness? What did you do to move your body? And if you didn't move your body a lot this year, that's completely fine, but just acknowledge that and see if that's something you want to continue into the new year. Or if you want to make a change, then how can you implement habits? How can you encourage yourself and support yourself and keep yourself accountable to move your body more? It doesn't have to look like a really intense HIIT class, or it doesn't have to look like you're going to run a marathon, because those are extremes and then we tend to set those as our resolutions and then we fall off and we get discouraged and we stop doing it. But maybe it's literally just taking a walk outside every other day. So just think about what that looks like. And the last category is spirituality and self-care. How did you take care of yourself? How did you deepen your spirituality practices, whether you're religious or you're not? How did you connect with yourself? And how did you really get quiet and figure out what you wanted? So reflect on all those things. You can leverage my Coming Home to Yourself retreat package. And it is meant for you to do it in an intimate group first so that you guys can support each other, talk about it, discuss, because I think there's so much richness in discussions. And then after that happens, there's an individual version as well, where you'll go home and you will then think through what you want to do and put things into action. So there's that for you if you would like. Once you've reflected and taken stock of how this year went, it's now time to set your intention. I like to challenge myself to only set 2, max 3 intentions a year. And these are going to be big, meaty intentions that you can have a lot of different actions around. For this past year, my intention was to get healthier and also figure out my career. Those were my main 2 intentions. That's literally it. For this upcoming year, I'm going to be setting 2 to 3 intentions as well. We can do this together, but you want to make sure that you're just focusing and prioritizing what is important to you. If you look at your reflections on those 6 categories that we just did, and you're noticing that there's certain things you want to change, certain things you want to improve, how can you group them and bucket them together? Maybe one of your intentions is to take better care of yourself this year. That would group the spirituality, self-care, the personal development, and the health and fitness. Maybe another intention this year is to save a certain amount of money so that you can buy a property, or you can live abroad, or you can do whatever you want to do with that money. Think through what you actually want to achieve next year. I really emphasize that I only want you to set 2 to 3 intentions, because sometimes with resolutions, we set 10 or 15 and it's just not realistic. Whereas if you have these big, meaty intentions that guide your life over the next year, you can make a lot of cool stuff happen, but you just need to have that intention. And then with that intention and that North Star, it can really dictate what you do quarterly, monthly, weekly, and daily, because you have that guiding principle. Pause this video now, look through your reflections, and think through what you want to prioritize and what you want to be intentional about next year. So after you've done the first phase, which is again reflecting, and then the second phase, which is then setting your intention, the third phase is all about taking action. It's not enough just to have a goal or a resolution or an intention, but to actually make it happen, you have to do the damn thing. And to do the damn thing, it's important to take this big overall intention and distill it down. So think about quarterly, monthly, weekly, and daily, what that actually looks like. As an example, for this past year, I wanted to become more healthy because I found that with living abroad, with all the traveling, it was such a struggle for me to get into a routine, and I just felt like I was not healthy anymore. And so some things I decided to do were to schedule classes for myself, so I knew every single week I was moving my body at least a certain amount of times. I also wanted to get back into running again. I signed up for races, I downloaded Strava, I joined a run club, I started my own run club with friends. That way I could schedule out every single quarter we have this race or this run club we're doing. And then also every single Sunday, we're doing a long run. We know when our tempo runs are. And I literally broke it down. And then I knew what days of the week I like to go to Pilates or to a berries class or one rebel class, whatever that looks like. But beyond that, I have some tips as well. So the first one is definitely habit stacking. Whenever possible, I love to habit stack a bunch of stuff together. As an example, if I'm going out for a walk, then I'm going to try to listen to a podcast so I can learn or reflect or listen to music. Or if I'm on the tube or I'm transiting, I like to read my book or I listen to podcasts. It's just doing things like that to remind yourself to stay accountable to your goals. And so habit stacking is great. You can look into that. I think the second thing too is accountability and surrounding yourself with the right people that have similar goals. And then the last thing too is if you start to set healthy habits, you will notice that it makes it hard to be unhealthy, if that makes sense. As an example, if I schedule a tennis date with my friend Saturday morning, then Friday night, I know I can't be up really late, and I know I can't have 10 cocktails, right? Not that I'm ever having 10 cocktails, but wine on the other hand, I can definitely drink quite a bit because I love a good glass or a bottle of wine. So just setting these intentions and these healthy habits which then dissuade me from having unhealthy habits like drinking too much wine or staying out too late. And then the last and final thing I will say is that when it comes to setting a resolution or a goal or an intention or whatever, you can always start again and you can always hit pause and get back on it. I feel like before I used to challenge myself and I used to make 5, 10, 15 resolutions, whatever. And then by January 31st, I'd either not done half of them or given up on half of them, or I had a cheat week. I had a week where I ate like shit, I didn't work out, I felt like shit. And then I was like, well, that's the year gone, let's try again next year. That's the wrong mentality to have. Like I said at the beginning of the video, you do not need to wait until December 31st to set your resolutions, and you do not need to wait until January 1st in order to become a new person. You can start over whenever. It could be your birthday, it could be some random arbitrary date like June 17th or November 30th or September 1st. It does not matter. It just matters that you set the intention and you commit to it, and you understand that life happens. You might be traveling or work might get really busy and you might fall off, and that's okay, because so long as you get back on, you're gentle with yourself, you're compassionate with yourself, that's what matters. Because in the long run, you doing it and having an intention with it is so much better than if you just went hard at it for a month. So it's so important to just remember that you can always start again and be gentle with yourself. I hope this helps you. I would love to hear your intentions down below if you are willing to share them. And Happy New Year. I am so grateful for you for being here. I launched this channel a few months ago and it's already such a great community, and I just cannot wait to continue to deliver great content to you. Have some amazing things planned for next year, so stay tuned, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next video.